and welcome to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me today is Court Winsett.
Yes, I am here.
And Cameron Spann.
Here.
This one's kind of a fun one. I was working with Nicole, and we were trying to come up with the episode, and I came across this thought, and then I found articles, of course, because if, there's no original thoughts anymore, the internet has everything, right?
No, absolutely.
And then thought, our in-house comic nerd, Court, would probably geek out over this. Cam, I'm not going to call you a nerd, but I feel like you enjoy the comics aspect as well.
I'm a nerd in my own right for Middle Earth and other things.
We all have our nerdy tendencies.
Court's definitely the most superhero knowledgeable guy here.
Yeah, and again, nerd is not a bad term.
No, not at all.
We all are nerds in our own way. So this is the cost of being a superhero. It's been a superhero summer with Superman, Thunderbolts, like so many different movies are continuing. Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't remind me about that movie.
Listen, I stand by my opinion that it's a great movie.
It was a great movie. It was just not a great movie for me to see postpartum. If you know, you know.
See, I don't. Abby and I only watched the first quarter because we fell asleep, but I want to watch it. I didn't dislike what I saw.
I wouldn't mind watching it again.
We just highlighted the APEF superheroes. If you remember, we talked about Miles and Captain Cashflow and how through the work that Cassie spoke about and through the animation episode we spoke about, we have this superhero that is teaching kids financial literacy, has its own superpower. And really, we say kids, but let's face it, adults are going to probably be watching this as well as they're showing it to their kids, and they're probably getting some knowledge. Superheroes are sexy. Superheroes are what are driving a lot of conversations, a lot of things. And so it got us thinking, what actually would be the cost to be a superhero in the real world? Because you think about the Tony Starks of the world and, Batman, who had a large nest egg to already work on and then, go from there. So because being a superhero is exciting, but financially it's a nightmare.
I was just sitting here thinking through in my head, like the superheroes that have jobs other than being superheroes versus those superheroes that are just basically, they can be a superhero all the time. And, I don't want to make any blanket statements, but there are quite a few superheroes out there whose alter ego has a full-time job that they have to fulfill in addition to being a superhero.
It's like, look, I'm trying to just make some pizzas, but I'm also trying to save lives.
Yeah.
Like Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Peter Parker is probably one of the best examples.
And I think of the two Richies. You got Batman and Iron Man. They have jobs.
They have jobs.
But they have unlimited money.
Yeah. Superman is one example of a sort of an interesting, not dichotomy, but just like he's sort of a weird conundrum because I don't think that he necessarily needs the money. He could just be Superman all the time and, go hang out in the Fortress of Solitude when he wanted to chill. But he does have to support also Clark Kent's lifestyle. And
that's the thing is it kind of gets your heat off of you if you're not trying to publicly be like, was Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne was Bruce Wayne by himself. And then it was like, oh, he's actually Batman. It's been revealed. So they have their own identity. And if you're just like hanging out, not doing anything, we're like, how are you able to do that, Clark? You don't have a job. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing, Peter Parker?
Do we have a list for this one?
We have a list of who is the richest superheroes.
Okay. I can take the first one.
Okay.
So Black Panther. He's a Marvel character. He is the king of Wakanda. Wakanda is a nation in Africa that has basically all of the vibranium in the world, which is a special material that absorbs shock and has all these other great properties. And because of their massive amounts of vibranium that are available to the Wakandans, their entire nation is a very, very wealthy nation. And of course, with him being king of Wakanda, he is also very, very wealthy.
Captain America's shield is made of vibranium. What else? What are some other
Black
items?
Panther's suit, all the technology, all the stuff in Wakanda.
Yeah. He's an interesting character from the Marvel universe that frequently people bring up as not only one of the richest, but also the smartest and the toughest. And, he frequently makes people's lists of underrated superheroes just because of the vast resources that he has at his disposal. It's an interesting one.
Next on the list would be Tony Stark or Iron Man. From Stark Industries. We mentioned him a few minutes ago. Yeah. He does have a fortune around $100 billion. Yeah. That doesn't even touch Wakanda people.
No.
They're trillions.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Tony Stark frequently compared to other very wealthy characters who have no superpowers in and of themselves, but they have the technological capabilities and or know-how and the money to become a superhero. Tony definitely falls into that camp. He's frequently compared to somebody like Batman, Bruce Wayne. None of this is necessarily fair comparisons, even if you do recognize that you're talking about comic book characters and they're all imaginary people. Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark definitely come from very, very different backgrounds and have very different personalities, but they are both very, very rich.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So the next one on the list is Batman, Wayne Enterprises, $80 billion, roughly.
Both of these guys inherited businesses from their dads, Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. Wayne Industries, or Wayne Enterprises, Stark Industries, but both of them have also managed to make those empires grow and even become even more successful than they were when they were inherited from their fathers. The next one on the list is actually another lesser known DC comic book character. His name, his superhero name is Green Arrow. He's also known as Oliver Queen. Green Arrow and Batman might be on the same side, but Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne
are on different.
May conflict because Queen Industries wants to do something and they're fighting Wayne Enterprises in trying to get it done. It's an interesting sort of conflict there, so it's good times.
That's one superhero I don't know anything about. I know he has his TV show, or he did on the CW.
Yeah,
but no movie has been made about him, right?
No, he has not been a character in any major DC movie. He's basically he's an archer.
And he's Hawkeye, but for DC.
Yeah. And I'm not sure which came first, if Green Arrow was first or Hawkeye. But you'll often find that the two comic book companies, Marvel and DC, have equivalents.
Yeah. I've noticed that because obviously I'm having to pay a little bit more attention to all of this in hopes that I think my boys are going to be into it. Like, there's a TV show about Iron Man's son, and it's Iron Man and his friends. Mm-hmm. So there's all different kind of spin-offs to really get the future generations. So what's the last one on our list, Cam?
All right, the last richest of the superheroes would be Professor X from X-Men, the main bald guy in the wheelchair. That's what most people know him for.
Yep.
He has a mansion, tech, and a private school trust fund.
Yep. They've got a jet.
Yeah.
all the things.
Honestly,
and his superpower is it telekinesis or is it more
telepathy?
Telepathy.
Yeah.
That's right.
He is a psychic. He has psi powers. One of the most powerful telepaths in the Marvel universe, anyway.
I know we're talking about superheroes, but as we were going through that list, I'm like, there's a lot of super villains who also have very deep pockets.
Yeah, Dr. Doom, Lex Luthor.
Daredevil bad guy.
Kingpin.
Kingpin.
I almost said Bullseye.
Kingpin Bullseye. High-tech equipment and vehicles obviously go hand in hand with the majority of these superheroes. You think like the Batcave, specialized gear. Batman's utility belt equals hundreds of thousands of armored suits, all his different things. The Batcave, not even throwing in the Batmobile, over $1 million. And he goes through those suits, those utility belts.
Yeah.
He goes through them very, very quickly.
I mean,
Alfred always would yell at him about, you destroyed another... He wouldn't bust it. It's just like...
Well, I mean... Yeah, so obviously he again, I already called him out as an example of somebody who, he is considered one of DC's greatest detectives. That's why, originally Batman was featured as a comic book character in a comic called Detective Comics. And that title still exists today, but it is a Batman title. But he was originally basically like DC's detective. And Bruce Wayne is brilliant and has a great detective mind and then has all of that money to boot.
So, I mean, you've got specialized gear. You've got, so a lot of these people have the suits. You've got vehicles, the Batmobile, Batwing, Stark Iron Man suit.
Yeah, because that is a vehicle.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's a vehicle. You wouldn't consider it, but it is. Yeah. And then you've got, relatable spend. Compared to the average cost of a family, their car, their wardrobe, what these people are spending. And so they've got their own wardrobe of their like normal disguise, things like that. Of course, a Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne has designer suits.
Yeah, he's got a closet full of Armani.
Versus like Daredevil, Peter Parker, Clark Kent, those are more average because even like Daredevil, he's a struggling attorney.
Yeah, he's an attorney, but he's an attorney in a poorer part of New York City.
Yeah. So he's not wearing lavish suits and stuff like that. And here's by numbers: Batman's suit 1.05 million, the Batmobile about 18 million plus upkeep. You can't exactly take that to a Jiffy Lube for an oil change.
Yeah.
What in Batman suit makes it $1 million?
The protection,
like
and
the
stuff?
wing mechanics, but it's cape mechanics. I don't know what justifies $1 million.
Probably a lot of R&D that goes into the suit. I don't know. Yeah. And plus, it depends on what suit you're talking about. In the movies, his suit may be more valuable / expensive than the suit that the guy wears in the comics.
The one with the nipples.
Oh, okay.
George Clooney.
George Clooney's
that one's super expensive, obviously. Iron Man suit is like a whole nother level.
It's a computer system with it, and
like nanotech. Remember, was it Iron Man 3 where he pulls it out of a briefcase and it just like crawls up him?
Yeah. The Iron Man 2, he has it in a briefcase and it's kind of in parts. Then fully nanotech in part 3 and or in the Avengers movies and stuff like that. But over the course of all of the Iron Man movies and all of the Avengers movies up until the end of Endgame, Stark had like at least 50 because I know he was up to like Mark 50 in terms of his suits, but so at least 50 different versions of that Iron Man suit. And if each one cost like 20 million each, and he had 50 of them. And he had so many that he would just kind of throw them away every now and then, be like, here, suit, go blow up over there. Okay, that's $20 million down the drain. That's crazy.
And Black Panther had a lot of suits.
Yeah, he didn't have as many. He did have one. It incorporated vibranium technology into his suit, but he didn't go through them with the rapidity that Tony Stark did.
Well, and again, I'm not as full into this world as a Court would be, but I know that depending on the different ones, and I've seen for Spider-Man and I've seen for Daredevil, like when they're getting started, it's almost like they just made it at home. Yeah. Like they just cut some fabric out, threw it together, and it's kind of embarrassing what then it turns into.
Yeah. One of the funniest things to me about some of the Spider-Man movies was at least Spider-Man in the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, he got his special suits. Like when Stark first found him, he was just basically wearing like a red sweatshirt and a mask that he pulled over. It wasn't a very fancy suit. It wasn't until he met Mr. Stark that he got a fancy suit. But in some of the earlier incarnations of Spider-Man, like with Tobey Maguire and stuff.
Where did he get that suit from?
Well, he just apparently developed super sewing skills while he was also developing his spider powers.
That didn't make sense.
Speaking of Spider-Man, where do you stand on this? Do you prefer Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man where the webs come out of his body, he creates the webs, kind of biological, or all the other Spider-Mans where he actually has an installed web shooter? I like Tobey Maguire's, and probably because I grew up on those films, and so I just like that it makes him more of a superhero that he creates.
It came from within.
Yeah. Here is my fast take on it. I don't have a preference, okay? That's my fast take. I think that the logic that, what's his name? The guy that directed wrote and directed the Tobey
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. The logic that he used was, in the comic books, Spider-Man invented his own webbing and his own web shooters. So Peter Parker, in addition to having all of the Spidey powers and so forth, was also super, super intelligent.
Okay.
It's not that Tobey Maguire's version of Peter Parker is not super intelligent, but he's definitely like Sam Raimi was like, the reason we decided to go with wrists instead of with it coming out of his wrists instead of web shooters that he invents is he felt like that was just giving Peter Parker too much. Like if he had all of these powers and he was so smart that he could come up with his own webbing and so forth, then somehow that was giving him too much prowess or whatever.
Too much power, not enough responsibility?
I guess. The thing with the middle guy, Andrew Garfield. I like Andrew Garfield. In his version of the movies, he does have the shooters, but he didn't invent the webbing. He steals it from some company that I can't remember if it's Oscorp or what, but they make the webbing. And he's like, oh, hey, I can put that to use for myself. He makes his own shooters to use the webbing, but the webbing was not invented by him. And like I said, in the comics, Peter Parker basically invented it all himself. So. Yeah.
Well, and that's, you kind of think about like the Fantastic Four, that it's, something happened to all of them, but there was one mastermind who was able to then create all the suits. And so it's not that we're expecting these individuals to be everything possible. It's they have to rely on some other people like Tony Stark helping out with financial to create the suit, the brains, things like that.
Although I do have to say, just a side note, Fantastic Four, the most recent version movie of that, Johnny Storm, just by listening to some recordings of Silver Surfer talking, manages to figure out her whole language, which is
usually he plays
feat.
this. I thought
so. He's smart.
I mean, he's not played as like Reed Richards smart, but he definitely like picks up on a whole like foreign alien language.
Because Chris Pine? Chris Evans. Chris Evans' version of Fantastic Four, he was
a
just
jock.
a pretty boy. Yeah. Which I think in this one,
usually
he's still a pretty boy, but he has.
Yeah.
I think people when they show in the movie, they underestimate him and think that he can't do anything, but he definitely was in tune to that. Okay, so ongoing operational costs for being a superhero. You've got secret bases, the Batcave, Stark Tower, the mansion, Superman's.
Oh, yeah. I don't think really Superman's Fortress of Solitude actually cost him anything to build. It usually just springs up somehow.
And it comes with robots.
Yeah, I mean, apparently.
Shows up, they're just there.
Yeah, it's just the technology that came with him in his ship.
Is this kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and it's like he just like shrinks it down. It's just where then disappears.
No. I mean, like in every movie version that I've seen, it's always, some Kryptonian technology that came to Earth with him from Krypton builds the fortress. And then the Man of Steel version with Henry Cavill, that was actually the fortress was made out of a Kryptonian ship that had crash landed on Earth prior to Superman ever arriving. So it's just he never really has to do much to get it. It's just there. But these other guys, I mean, if you think about Stark Tower, or if you think about the Batcave, or the Avengers complex in the Avengers movies, or
when they are constantly getting blown up or destroyed, and so there's more maintenance on those than just the average household, because you've got things that are happening. You've got bad guys that are targeting them, so you may have to rebuild and relocate your place multiple times. Yeah, it's Stark Tower. It's a real New York skyscraper. That in itself is going to be really expensive. The X Mansion is an estate in New York, so that's going to be huge.
That's going to be costly.
Yeah.
You know it. I love Batman because, of the stark difference. No pun intended. Tony Stark has a skyscraper. He has all this money, but Batman's lair is just primitive. It's in a cave. He has cool tech in there, but there's just something really cool about that.
Yeah, the Batcave has always been sort of an iconic location, way more than really any of the secret lairs of any of the Marvel characters. Like Fortress of Solitude and the Batcave, people know about those. The Hall of Justice, even, if you're my generation and you grew up with Super Friends and you watched that, then you know about the Justice League's Hall of Justice, and the Avengers compound and stuff like that just doesn't play as massive a role in the overall comic, canon as a lot of the DC stuff does. But
some of these other ones are just walking around wearing their suits all the time underneath their regular clothes, or it's just hanging in their closet next to their gym shorts.
Yep.
Where does the superhero go to chill? I don't know.
It's just hang out in your living room. Like, you don't really have a secret spot, which makes them more vulnerable because they're just living their average life.
I don't know where some of these stats came from, but the entire idea that the operational costs, including like utilities for the Batcave, powers the utilities. It's the equivalent of powering 14,000 homes just to power the Batcave. That's
interesting.
If it's true, I don't know where it came from, like I said, but if it's true, that's impressive.
That's impressive. Let's switch to put your legal hat on. So legal and medical expenses. So oftentimes we have seen a lot of these superheroes. And even throw in some of the ones we haven't talked about, Guardians of the Galaxy and Hulk, things like that. These people that are coming in that are making a mess of stuff, and that we've seen they've fallen in and out of favor with, for different reasons. Either everyone loves them and supports them, or they're seen as villains and destroying cities. So with that comes a lot of lawsuits. There's lots of property damage. Injuries to themselves.
There are so many things to say on this, but one of my favorite takes on the superhero as a person who is trying to help but who causes damage and has to actually suffer the consequences of that damage is Incredibles.
Yeah.
Because in the Incredibles, the supers all get basically sued and have to go into hiding because the public starts suing them for all the damage and all the harm and so forth. And I think that was done very well and it's hilarious. And it's a fun part of the original Incredibles movie. A lot of times in comics and in these movies that we watch now with all of these superheroes, it's part of, I guess, the benefit of having an alter ego, secret identity. Yeah, you might cause a lot of damage, but nobody can.
You can't find Batman at serum.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows where the Batcave is. Nobody knows who Batman is.
Your job is to served, Batman. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, I know you're trying to save somebody, but here, you've been served.
I'm going to sue. Hey, I'm going to sue you. Anyway, yeah. Batman's not getting sued. I'd love to see somebody try and serve Superman. It'd be like, are you Superman? Who's asking?
Yeah. But like Tony Stark, everyone knows that he's Iron Man.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
he could definitely get sued all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And
in fact, I think that's constant bickering with the government of you just destroyed all this stuff.
He had a whole congressional hearing at one point, I think in Iron Man 2 maybe. You've got these people who the public knows who they are and what's happening when they cause damage. Like, for instance, the Avengers, not everybody may have, the public in the Avengers, the original Avengers movie, may not have known who every single one of those people were who were fighting the Battle of New York. They definitely knew who Iron Man was. They definitely knew who Tony Stark was. And all kinds of damage was caused to the city of New York because of that battle.
And Captain America, and then the last one that Hulk was in with Harrison Ford as the president, and then all the damage that was, of course, that was Hulk and then the president.
Yeah, so you could definitely get sued. You could inadvertently hurt somebody, but if you weren't exercising a significant amount of care when you were trying to help them and you actually ended up hurting them, they could sue you for negligence. You could obviously get sued for property damage. You could get sued for all kinds of stuff, whether intentional or unintentional. So, you definitely got a lot to deal with there. And I doubt an insurance company would cover you.
Where's the actuary on insuring a Tony Stark or something like that? But of course, again, a Tony Stark, a Batman is going to have at their resource doctors, things like that. And you think about it, over our lifetime, we've seen so many movies where a lot of these superheroes or villains or even just like vigilantes of their own, they're not going to a traditional ER. They're not walking up there and trying to get wounds taken care of.
Right.
They usually end up going, if they aren't wealthy and have a person that can come to them, you would always see them go to like a veterinarian's office or something crazy like that.
Okay, so if they're trying to keep their identity secret, though, you've got to understand that if they get shot, let's say, and you go into a hospital with a gunshot wound, the hospital's going to report that they treated someone with a gunshot wound, and there's going to be an investigation into how exactly you got that wound. And your average superhero trying to keep his identity on the down low is not going to necessarily want that kind of thing reported. So they go
other places.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne had his butler. Apparently, Alfred is able to at least do some minor surgery himself.
Well, we've seen different characters where they've, of course, then it turned into a love interest. They stumbled upon somebody who was a nurse to get them to then help nurse them back to health. So obviously they're not dealing with the same medical that an average Joe would be dealing with. They're not walking into an ER.
But let's say they were. Even just looking at the average person's medical expenses is pretty high. Average U.S. ER visit, just to go to the ER and have a doctor look at you, and who knows what the treatment's
not before even
be.
test or anything.
$2,600.
Yeah, the major surgeries, $30,000 plus.
So, medical bills, like, for instance, I guess this would be another one of those statistics where I'm not sure where they got it, but they're saying like a superhero's medical bills could be could equal the equivalent of putting 100 kids through college every year.
Yeah,
just based on the injuries that your average superhero probably experiences.
Yeah, so
that's a lot.
You take all those superhero battles and multiply that by 10. Of course, a lot of these superheroes can heal themselves, and
some of them can. Yeah, I mean,
that makes a big difference.
You definitely. Thor probably isn't worrying about injuries. Superman generally isn't worrying about injuries.
Logan.
Yeah. Logan, with the healing factor, man, he can heal for sure. And
Deadpool.
Yep.
Deadpool, yeah. I haven't even talked about Deadpool.
Yeah, I always forget about Deadpool when I'm thinking about these universes, not because he's not he's an anti-hero. But anyway, I just forget about him because all of the movies and stuff, it's all so clean and sparkly. And then you've got Deadpool over here just being dirty and foul.
Well, and his real life character would be, it makes sense for him to have black eyes and be all, beaten up.
Yeah.
So training and education, it is kind of one of those, all of a sudden, okay, Peter Parker can sew crazy. No, that didn't really happen. Yeah. So decades of training, world traveling, elite instruction with martial arts. Now we've seen in which Batman was that he like went off and trained?
That was Batman Begins.
Tech and science knowledge, advanced degrees, constant research.
Yeah, Tony Stark went to MIT, which is not a cheap place to go. So,
but it makes more sense with some of these that are kind of like, working together and putting their skills together instead of working separate. Hence, the Justice League and the Avengers and things like that.
Background story on the Fantastic Four. I don't know if you'll ever get this, if this will be included in the canon of the movies, but in the comic books, Reed Richards and the guy who becomes Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, actually went to school together. They were genius college students in the same institution, and Doom was injured and had to cover his face because of a laboratory accident that occurred while he was working with Reed Richards, which is part of the reason that he hates Reed Richards so much. In the comics, again, I don't know if that'll be the same in the movies.
Well, but that's the thing is a lot of times these villains that come up have the opportunity to turn into superheroes, but it's like, which path do they take? And a lot of them go down the evil path. It's the kid villain in the Avengers was like an intern of not the Avengers, of the Incredibles.
Yeah, Syndrome. He was ignored by Mr. Incredible, and he took it personally and decided to become a bad guy. So great origin story there. He was a little pouty little kid who went and took his toys and became a bad guy.
Iron Man 2, that guy that creates the tentacles.
The whips?
The whip things, yeah.
Oh, what was it? Ivan? He was
something.
Russian.
Yeah, and he was
played by Mickey Rourke.
He was bitter.
Yeah.
He had a big old grudge. So, yeah, if you were to quantitate what you've got, the martial art lessons, $300 per session, degrees at MIT, $80K a year, years of global training. So it's what's funny is continuing education. Yeah. Even superheroes have continuing education, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you don't need to give up on your job.
Yeah. Sharpening their saw.
Continue, because, you never know when that next person's going to come up and, learn the next greatest and best thing. Obviously, this is, unrealistic lifestyle. Even billionaires would burn through cash to keep up, but they are having to constantly compete with their gears, their vehicles, lawsuits, healthcare. And so being a superhero's life is unsustainable. And that's why, it's more realistic with Peter Parker that he linked up with Tony Stark. Daredevil, even, I know I'm just now kind of dipping my toe into the Daredevil world, but his law firm wasn't that, profitable.
No,
really.
Definitely not. I mean, it's sort of a core tenet of his character, of Daredevil, Matt Murdock, his character, that he's basically started a law firm in an impoverished part of New York City, and to help poor people who have legal troubles. That's kind of his whole shtick. And so, yeah, he doesn't make a ton of money doing it.
Well, like Hulk is a scientist. He, but so there's a lot of them that I think we question. Okay, so Deadpool's out running around. Who's paying his utility bill on his house?
Yeah.
And, I think we've seen some of those where it's like, I was out saving the world and now I've got, rent due. What is going on here? So some of them do not have this lavish lifestyle. And obviously it's kind of, I'm about to go real deep here. There are definitely real heroes out there who may be a part of secret teams, things like that are doing. I just watched a Scandal episode that makes me think of this, that there was a mother that her son passed away, and there's this whole secret that essentially the government cannot tell his own mother that he died, but he actually was a huge hero and helped with save, thousands of lives. But that's something that his identity and what he did in his life that and ultimately got him killed is something that his mother had to live with, believing that his son was a terrorist. And he wasn't, but it was, the secret had to be saved. So there are some real superheroes out there like that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I don't think they spend money the way these superheroes on TV do. But, TV and movies, that's a lot of that is geared toward escapism. People don't want to know about the financial problems and the lawsuits and so forth. They want to know about the heroics and the fancy cars and all of that stuff. So you give them what they want.
Yeah, I don't know why this popped in my head, but y'all remember the movie Armageddon?
Oh, yeah.
When they get them all together and they're trying to come up with their terms, and it's like, I never want to pay taxes ever again.
Yeah.
We're going to save the world. We don't want to ever pay taxes again.
Which, fair.
That is fair.
Save the world, no more taxes.
No more taxes. It's fine.
This is an interesting closing factoid when it comes to perspective. It would take someone earning minimum wage more than 100 years to earn what Batman spends in a single month.
Whew.
He's basically Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That is wild. Being a superhero saves lives, but destroys bank accounts.
Maybe these superheroes need to actually have a talk with Captain Cashflow. They need a little bit of financial guidance, because they're not doing it right.
Well, and I think, what is it? Is it Happy? Happy's always trying to. Is that his name? Tony Stark's dude?
Oh, Gosh.
His driver.
Yeah.
Driver, he's always trying to, him and Pepper Potts are always trying to keep him in line of what he's doing, because even though you feel like you've got here's a financial nugget, even though you feel like you have a surplus, endless amount of money, it can run out. It can not be the right financial decision. So if you got Tony Stark type dollars, you can make bad financial decisions that impact you.
But, when you've got somebody like Captain Cashflow, their superpower is making good financial decisions.
So we've got a question on this last thing. If you had unlimited funds, which superhero lifestyle would you try, and would it be worth the price?
If I've got unlimited funds, what kind of question is that?
I'm gonna rephrase this.
Okay.
Who would be the superhero that you would want to hang out with and intern for a day?
The superhero that you would want to intern for the day.
I'll go with Batman because, he's my favorite. And maybe I could be the new Robin, ride shotgun in the Batwing.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Superman just because I think he's a good guy. He's going to make sure I'm not put into situations where I could die or get seriously injured.
I'm torn between Tony Stark or Star-Lord.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about going off planet.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Like Wonder Woman, you could hang out with the Amazons.
Yeah. That would be cool. A day with the Amazons.
Wonder Woman. I'll stick with Tony Stark, although I don't think he would care about my well-being. I don't think any of that. I probably would not survive day one.
Yeah.
I'd be calling Pepper what do I do? So probably not for my well-being, but it would be fun to just hang out with Tony Stark.
Oh, there's the closing bell. Ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast Podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast delivered directly to your device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures up there. We've got bios so you can read about us. And we've also got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. We do have an Instagram handle, and we have pictures there. That handle is at Bullcast Podcast. We also have an X handle, which is also at Bullcast Podcast. And rounding out the social media, we have a Facebook page, which is Bullcast the Podcast. But as I do on every episode, I would like to mention that we do work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about us, or find out about where we work, find out about what we do, find out about what we could do for you, find out about our amazing team, and find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've given you everything you need to go forth, and ain't nobody here going to be a superhero, but, live a special life. So for now, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.